Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Road, and in today's video we're going to be going over the top 25 best European European on my truck cars for less than $10,000. Now I'm going to make this abundantly clear right now. Some of these cars, they may be under 10k, but since they're European, the maintenance costs, at least for an American, is going to be, it's going to push it past that 10k barrier is what I'm trying to say. On top of that, there are a couple of these cars that are not the most reliable, but the ones that are reliable, the ones that are good, the ones that are just handy dandy mandy, are going to be towards the top of the list, of course. So the ones at the bottom, even though they're going to be cool looking and stuff like that, I'll probably hype them up because that's what I usually get into, that mood whenever I talk about cars, and I just never can look at the bad side of cars. I'm always just like, I love it, it looks cool, I love it. Just keep in mind that Europeans do have a reputation for building some unreliable, high-maintenance cars for a reason. But without further ado, let's get right into it with number 25. And that honor goes to the Jaguar XF. Just the XF, no like XFR. I know they make like the XFRs now. They make like these XF SEV6 or something like that. There's some weird Jaguars, but the Jaguar XF base model comes with a 3-liter supercharged V6 that makes 296 horsepower in its rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. A rear-wheel drive 300 horsepower supercharged V6 this obviously sounds pretty cool, but again, you gotta keep in mind this is a Jaguar and it's supercharged, and it's a V6s already are not that reliable. Inline motors are more reliable, and this one's supercharged. 24th place is going to a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier, where it's like, it's really only here because I think it looks cool. The BMW 635 CSI E24. It's the first ever 6 Series, and oh my god, is it awesome. It's a shark nose BMW. I love everything about the looks of E24s. I want one so freaking bad just because they look cool. They come with a 3.5 liter inline 6 making 280 horsepower in its rear wheel drive, which is honestly really good for its time. This was an 80s car, man, and it was making 280 horsepower. Like, that's a really good horsepower number, and it is decently reliable. Like, it's not the worst option out there. It's just that it's so old at this point, bro, that if you decide to buy one of these things, you really just got to be careful. It's gonna have problems due to its age. 23rd is a car everybody loves, but everybody at the same time knows is just a nightmare to actually own. The Audi S4 B5. We love this car. Who doesn't love this car? If you find me a human being out there who doesn't love the S4 B5, I'll find you a human being that deserves a slap across the face, because these cars are freaking sick. They come with a 2.7 liter twin turbo V6 making 250 horsepower in its all-wheel drive. Everybody already knows about the whole S4 B5 issues. They're ticking time bombs, man. But when they do run lightweight all-wheel drive twin turbocharged V6 that makes 250 horsepower is just dandy, mate. 22nd on the other hand is the first car on this list that I can truly say is like a good car to buy. It's the Volkswagen GTI Mark IV. I commonly recommend these cars all the time, and I stand by that. I will stand on top of that hill and beat my meat on it until the day I die, because they come with a 1.8 liter turbocharged inline 4 making 170 horsepower, and they are front wheel drive. That's the reason why they're kind of so low, is realistically speaking, if you have a budget of $10,000, there are better options for like a sporty hatchback than the Mark IV. But the Mark IV is still an incredible option. There's nothing wrong with these cars. They can make good horsepower, they're decently reliable, they have a decent amount of space, they're front wheel drive, so you could drive it in winter settings, at least better than a rear wheel drive car. And they're a nice one. 21st place, back to the cars that are unreliable but look incredibly cool, because it's the Jaguar XJ6. These things are so slept on, dude, in the community. I get that, yes, they are pretty unreliable, but they're not even that unreliable. Like, the Jaguar XF is much more unreliable than the XJ6 is. This car comes with a 4.2 liter straight 6 making 206 horsepower in its rear wheel drive. They're also decently lightweight, and they just look like you are literally the Queen of England if you drive one of these things. And then people like bag them and like stance them and put like big old wheels on them. God, they're gorgeous. They are such gorgeous cars. Are they race cars? They can be, but mainly they're just there for the looks. Top 20, breaking its way into the top 20, is going to the BMW 325i E30. If you guys know me, you know that I'm a BMW boy. Okay, I love me some BMWs, and the E30 is obviously one of the most popular options, so it's gonna make this list. However, I don't think it's as great as people give it credit for. It comes with a 2.5 liter inline 6 making 160 horsepower in its rear wheel drive. Horsepower number is low, but yes, the car also does weigh a very, very small number. So what's the problem here, Mark? Why is it here at the number 20 spot? E30s are not for everybody. I feel like people really need to get that through their head, because people are going to be disappointed if they buy one. They're small cars. They are, even though, yes, they are reliable in terms of like BMWs at least, they're old, so they're not that reliable anymore, and they're underpowered from factory. The 2.5 liter inline six is not a good motor to build or anything like that. You have to be a certain type of person to actually enjoy one. Number 19, however, is going to the Volvo 740. It's a European car. That's before somebody's like, this isn't European. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Sweden is in Europe. You doofus. Either way, the Volvo 740 comes with a 2.3 liter inline four, making 162 horsepower, and it's rear wheel drive. They're pretty much just like a beefed up Volvo 240, to be honest. They are a little bit more expensive than the Volvo 240s though, which I'm going to spoil it right now. The Volvo 240 does make this list, so that's the reason why it's lower than the Volvo 240. But it's a cool car. I like this 740. I don't know if again, I think I like the 240 just miles better, but it's still a good car. 18th place is going to the Audi TT first generation. You realistically could find the second generation under 10K as well, but it's going to be hard. And on top of that, I would just stick with the first. I like the first gen's looks better anyways. They come with pretty much the exact same. They're pretty much honestly just like a pocket Mark IV GTI. They come with a 1.8 liter turbocharged inline four that makes 170 horsepower, and it's front wheel drive or all wheel drive. You can get these in all wheel drive, whereas you can't get the, well, I guess you could get the Mark IV in all wheel drive because you could get the R32. Either way, it's that's what it is. It's a cool car. It looks good, obviously. Most people would agree with that. I know some people are like, the Audi TTs are so ugly. I think they look good. And they're just, again, if you want like a Mark IV GTI but don't like the Mark IV GTI body or whatever, this is a decent option. It's got less room though. Keep that in mind. 17th is going to a race car. I don't care what anybody says, these cars are freaking slept on. It's the Porsche Boxster 986. The first generation Porsche Cayman is a very, very popular car. Everybody loves them. I want one more than I want world peace, okay? Like, I would love a first generation Cayman. This is the same thing. It comes with a 2.7 liter flat six, making 217 horsepower, and it is rear wheel drive. Does it look very, very boring for a Porsche? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and try lying to you. I'm not going to sit here and try ripping your nipples off by giving you a purple nipple. I'm not doing any of that, okay? That's weird. I know that these cars are probably the bottom of the barrel in terms of Porsches, but it's still a Porsche. It's still cool. It still handles incredibly well. It's a good car. From a sports car to the complete opposite of that, we're going to go into the luxury world real quick to talk about the BMW 740iL E38. Are they a race car? No. This was like the contender to the LS400. Would you consider the LS400 a race car? Probably not. So no, it's not a race car. But is it a cool car? Absolutely. They come with a 4.4 liter V8 making 286 horsepower, and it is rear wheel drive. The reliability is definitely questionable there. The gas mileage is actually pretty decent. I know that's a random thing to bring up, but it actually is. It's pretty much the same motor, I'm pretty sure, as the E39 540i's, and those get really good gas mileage. Again, they are just heavy, long cars. You know, they're not race cars, so keep that in mind. But if that's what you're looking for, a VIP style, a comfortable car to cruise around with your boys in, this is a great option. 15th place. 15th place. I don't care that this car is so unreliable. It gets 15th anyways. It's the Mini Cooper S R53. This thing is sick. I love these cars with all my heart, and it pains me every day that they are ticking time bombs, because I would honestly probably have bought this over like my Integra if they were reliable. They come with a 1.6 liter supercharged inline four, making 170 horsepower in their front wheel drive. Like I said though, these things are really, really unreliable. I mean, pretty much every single owner out there is like, yeah, don't buy one. You're just waiting for problems. But they are cool. I can't stand the fact that people, like, back in the day used to make fun of Mini Coopers, because now that I'm older, I see the vision, man. They are such cool cars. 14th place, however, is going to the wonderful Mercedes E320 W24. These things, I've explained it to you multiple times. I've explained it to my audience multiple times. I'm not a Mercedes fan, but these things, they get me. You know, they get a knife in there and start twisting it around. They come with a 3.2 liter inline six, making 217 horsepower, and it's rear wheel drive. It's a very decent just option in general. It's honestly like, if you're looking at buying an E30, but you want a little bit more space, a little bit more reliability, and a little bit more power out of the factory, honestly, this is just a better option. Now, I said it. Now, obviously, the M3 E30, that's a different story. But if you're looking for like a base model E30, honestly, I honestly would go with this one. 13th place is a bit of a weird one. We have a lot of Jaguars on today's list. It's actually very surprising, because it's a Jaguar XKR, my bad, first generation. Imagine an XJ220. Pooh! XJ220 under 10K. Yeah, maybe a Bolt off of it. Either way, this car is freaking sick. I love these things. They come with a 4 liter supercharged V8 making 370 horsepower, and their rear wheel drive. Their performance is obviously through the freaking roof. So why are they under 10K? Well, their performance is through the roof when they run. They don't run a lot though. They're very unreliable. On top of that, a lot of people don't like them for some reason. I really don't get why. I think they're incredibly cool looking car. I'd rather own an XKR. I'm going to say this is going to blow people's minds. I would rather own an XKR than own an F-Type. I said it. I think they're great cars. 12th place. This is a bad part about making European car videos because like it's 12th place and these cars are still pretty unreliable. It's the BMW 650i E63. It's the first generation. Second generation, my bad. 6 Series. And it comes with a 4.4 liter twin turbo V8 making 445 horsepower going to the rear wheels or all the wheels. Obviously that's insane. You know, that's a lot of power. Why is it under 10K? It's a twin turbo V8 from BMW in the in the late 2000s, man, early 2010s era. Like, obviously it's gonna just blow up. This thing is Al Qaeda in a car. It's just not the best option for like a daily driver out there, but it is so cool, man. I'm sick of acting like the back end of the car ruins the car. It is ugly, don't get me wrong, but it's still a cool car. Barely. Just a pubic hair missing out on the top 10 is the Audi S4 B7. It's pretty much just, I know people didn't really care for this generation because of its reliability, but like, is there any S4 that's reliable? Honestly, like, come on. I feel like everybody's like, oh, that generation is unreliable. To every generation. The car comes with a 4.2 liter V8 making 340 horsepower and it's all-wheel drive. That's insane. 340 horsepower in the late 2010s in an all-wheel drive sedan with a freaking German V8 under the hood is sick. Is it, again, unreliable? Yes. But, dude, is there been a car today besides the Mark IV GTI that we've talked about that was unreliable? Maybe the E320 and the E38. Those are like the only two cars I could think of that we talked about today that aren't unreliable monsters. And so, like, just buy it. 10th place, though. Actually, we just brought up another car that's unreliable because it's the Volkswagen Cado VR6. These cars are actually decently reliable and they can make pretty good freaking power and they look awesome in my opinion. I know it's a very controversial car in terms of their looks. A lot of people think they don't look good. I think they look great. They come with a 2.8 liter V6, VR6, whatever you want to call it, 190 horsepower going to the front wheels. It's a tuning legend. I mean, it really is. It has pretty much all you got to say about it. Its looks are weird. It had active aero, which is obviously super cool. And yeah, they're pretty slept on in my opinion. It is hard. I will say this right off the bat though. It's going to be hard to find a VR6 Cado specifically under 10K. You'll find a lot of Cados, but the VR6 ones are more wanted. 9th place, I told you it was going to be here, and here it is. It is, of course, the Volvo 240. The Volvo 240 is truly just an icon. It is an icon, and it is actually reliable too. So again, another reliable car. Yes sir, finally. Comes with a 2.3 liter inline 4 making 114 horsepower going to the rear wheels. Its horsepower numbers are low, sure, but it wasn't meant to be a race car. They're daily drivers that have a very fun side of them. They're thrashing machines. If you buy this thing, you can beat on it and not feel sad about it, okay? They're safe, they take damage like a beast, and they're fun to drive. That's pretty much it. I personally have never been a big fan of the looks of the Volvo 240, but that's just me. All right, well, we're back. We had 2 good runs there of decently reliable European cars, but we're back to just the unreliable time bombs. Because 8th place is the Mercedes SL 600. It's unbelievably cool, and I would be doing you guys a crime, a disservice even, if I didn't include it in this list, so I had to include it, but it is very unreliable. They come with a 6 liter V12, making 389 horsepower in its rear-wheel drive. That's obviously insane, but there's a reason why V12s usually cost like 6 figures, because people buying them are not daily driving these bad boys, okay? They're sports cars that they keep in the garage, and when they get up there in mileage, they sell them, because they're unreliable up at high mileage. And that's the same thing with the SL 600. The ones you're going to find under 10K are going to be high mileage ones that are literally like they might blow up driving out of the guy's driveway. Okay, it's just, you gotta be really careful. They're sick cars, and that's why they're on this list. I freaking love the SL 600s. They're gorgeous, but you really got to be careful with these ones. 7th place, however, we're back to reliability here. Let's go. It's the Volkswagen GTI Mark 6. Yes, I think this is just like, I honestly, it hurts me to say it, but I really do think that buying a Mark 6 in 2024 is realistically just a better option than buying a Mark 4. I love the Mark 4s better than the Mark 6s as well, but they're just a better option, man. They come with a 2 liter turbo inline 4 making 210 horsepower in their front wheel drive. The fact that these things are even under 10K in the first place is really surprising. It's another tuning legend just like the Mark 4, but it's got just so much more modern, updated features. On top of that, it's going to be a lot easier for you to find one that hasn't been molested and is nice and in clean condition and not destroyed. And it's overall, I think it's just a better option. On top of that, I truly believe the Mark 6s are at, if not very close to being at, the lowest point they'll go. So I really do think that eventually these things are going to come back up in price. 6th place is a decent one. It's not reliable, but it's not unreliable. It's kind of right there in the middle because it is going to the BMW 330ci E46. I've recommended the E46 on pretty much every single video I've ever made. I can make a video talking about like top 10 best eyelashes for your girlfriend, and number 1 would be the BMW 330ci E46, because they're in all my videos. They come with a 3-liter inline 6 making 225 horsepower in their rear wheel drive. They're drift car legends, they're race car legends, they look good, they're decently reliable. Like I said earlier, they can make good power if you really want to go that route as well, and they're fun cars. Not much else to really say about them. You guys know everything about the E46 already. 5th place is going to, honestly, in my opinion, just a better version of the E46, depending on what you're looking for, obviously, the BMW Z3. It really is just a 330ci E46. It really is just an E46 in general. It has tons of different trim levels, tons of different engines it comes with. The one we're going to be talking about today is the 3-liter inline 6 that makes 225 horsepower going to the rear wheels. Does that sound familiar? Boy, it's not like we just talked about that, you short-term memory loss boy. We just talked about it with the E46. It's the same car, all right? But it's obviously just a lot lighter, shorter wheelbase, a much sporty version than the E46. So if that's what you're looking for, just specifically like sports car stuff, racing and stuff like that, then I would recommend going with the Z3 all day. If you are, however, going to be daily driving this thing, yeah, the E46 is a better option. 4th place is going to the Mercedes C350 W24. Everybody was all talking to me, talking all that smack, talking all that rah-rah in my comment section a little while ago, being all like, why do you hate Mercedes so much, Mark? So I started doing some more research on them. I found a couple that I liked. This one comes with a 3.5-liter V6 making 288 horsepower, and it's rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. That's pretty decent to me. I don't know anything about this car. A 3.5-liter V6 in a Mercedes sounds like a nightmare waiting to happen, so it's probably unreliable, but who cares? Because it looks pretty good. I like these cars. They look cool. On top of that, the Black Series version of these cars I've always been a big fan of. Obviously, you're not finding a Black Series under even like 50K, but still, cool cars. 3rd place. 3rd place is finally when Audi decided, you know what, maybe our S4s, and this is now an S5, should be reliable, because it's the Audi S5 B8. They decided, you know, we'll take a little bit of power away from the platform, but just make it all around such a better car. That's what they did with the V8s. They come with a 3-liter supercharged V6 making 333 horsepower, and it's all-wheel drive. I love that number, by the way, 333 right in a row. I love when car companies do that. The 300ZX do it with the 222 horsepower, and this car does it now with a 333. I love that. But either way, yeah, the S5 B8 is just a coupe version of the S4 B8. Obviously, I like the coupe version slightly better, so that's why I'm including this one over it. And yes, like I said, they finally decided, you know what, let's make them reliable. It does have less horsepower than the B7, which in my opinion is a little crazy, but at the same time, a V6 weighs a lot less, the car handles a lot better, and its reliability means that you can actually enjoy that horsepower instead of just blowing it up all the time. 2nd place is going to another Porsche. You guys are probably like, what? I didn't expect there to be 2 Porsches on this list. That's crazy. Yeah, it's the Porsche 944. That's right. The Porsche 944 comes with a 2.5-liter inline 4 making 147 horsepower, and it's going to the rear wheels. They're little race cars, man. There's racing series where it's just 944s out there, and they look incredibly fun to drive. Are they reliable? Yes, they actually are. A Porsche that's reliable. Are they underpowered for a Porsche? Obviously, 150 horsepower in a Porsche is not that much, but at the same time, you're not paying Porsche money. You're paying like 5K, 6K for this car. Of course, it's going to have a little bit less power than a 911. But if you know your boy, if you've ever once even heard the name Mark Roden, then you knew that 1st place was going to be BMW 335i E92. I specifically am saying the E92, but obviously the E90, E91, E92, and E93 are all good options here. It's the same car, pretty much just different body styles. They come with a 3-liter twin-turbo inline 6, making 300 horsepower on the diddly dot, which is great, and it's rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. It's the N54. Everybody knows the reliability of the N54 is questionable at best, but at the same time, the tuning potential of the N54 is dandy. It's handy-mandy. Come on now. They're tuning monsters. They look good in my opinion. They handle good in my... Well, I've never driven one, but they probably handle good. And it's the last BMW 3 Series generation that had, like, power steering and not electrical steering, which makes people be like, oh, feels pretty good to drive, you know? But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the top 25 best European sports cars, well, just cars in general, for less than $10,000. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. And also, sorry for not uploading in like a week. I feel like I say that every week now. I have 2 other channels, and I, for some reason, keep like putting too much time in those channels. I get carried away, and I think like, oh, I'll have time to do a Mark Roden video tonight, and then I don't. And I'm just like, why am I putting, you know, I'm putting more of my like emphasis on these other channels, even though I shouldn't be doing that, because this is like the channel, you know, this is like my channel, and then all the other channels, like, I don't know why I'm doing it. I gotta snap out of that and get back into the rhythm of uploading on this channel, so I'm trying to do that, but that's totally my bad. I apologize for that. Also, like I said earlier, there is a mixed bag of cars in this video. I want to make that very clear. I'm gonna go over each and every one of them and tell you guys really quickly right now in the outro what like position you should be in if this is the car you're going to buy, okay? Because I want to just make, like, when I do like a JDM car video, pretty much everybody knows, like, okay, some of these may be slightly more unreliable than others, but they're all okay cars to drive like as a daily, whereas this is completely different. Like, some of these cars are super reliable, great cars to drive as a daily, and then some of them are awful, worst options you could possibly imagine as a daily. So I'm gonna go over them really quick, but if you don't care about that, then this is the outro. That's Danya. Have a nice night, and thank you for watching. But here we go. Jaguar XF. Horrible idea for a daily. Honestly, just a horrible car overall. It's unreliable. It's not that powerful, but it does look kind of cool and it's unique. So there you go. E24. Love it. I freaking think it's the coolest car out there, and it actually is decently reliable. The only problem is it's so old. Keep that in mind. Old parts are not fun to work on. Audi S4 B5, just awfully unreliable. Super cool little race car if you're looking for a project car, absolutely, but its reliability is not good. Volkswagen GTI Mark 4. Good all around. It's a good race car, it's a good project car, it's a good daily driver. The only thing that is questionable about it is again getting old, and a lot of people have modified these things, so it's questionable when going to look at them. XJ6, decent car overall. It's again just a British car that's very old, so keep that in mind. 325 IE30, great car, reliable, you know, could be a daily, but it's old, it's underpowered. I've already kind of explained it when I was talking about the E30, but it's definitely a questionable car for a lot of people, I would say. 740, good car, just all around. The Volvo 740 is a great car. Next thing, Audi TT first gen, pretty much again like a pocket Mark 4 GTI. However, it is slightly more impractical than a Mark 4 GTI because it's a smaller car. Next, it's Porsche Boxster 986, race car for sure, and its reliability is definitely decent. It's not bad, but it is a 2-seater. You got to keep that in mind, and it's not meant to be a race car. It's a rear-wheel drive, mid-engine car. 740iL E38. Good. It's a good car. It's decently reliable, especially for a V8 powered German car. But again, don't buy this if you're looking for like a sports car. That's not what it is. It's a big sedan. It's meant to be like a daily, fun, comfortable car to drive. Mini Cooper SR53. Realistically, you probably just shouldn't buy this thing overall. It's stupidly unreliable, but it looks cool. And if you want a little project car, this is a fun one. Mercedes E320 W24. Good car all around. Nothing I could really say about that. It is up there in age for sure, so keep that in mind. But overall, it's not that bad. Jaguar XKR first generation, realistically just a bad option. Again, it's a supercharged V8 from Jaguar. Yeah, it's not the best, but it's a really cool looking car, so that's why I put it here. BMW 650i E63, again, really unreliable, but is another cool looking car. This one, realistically, I feel like people just shouldn't buy. It's probably not the best option for most people. The Audi S4 B7, again, same thing. Realistically, you probably shouldn't buy this. It's the V8's just too unreliable. Next, Volkswagen Cado VR6. This is a good option. It's a good tuning car option, but it's also a decent daily if that's what you want to go for. I wouldn't recommend it as a daily, but you could definitely make it work. Volvo 240, pretty much the same thing that I just said about the Cado works there, except for I would recommend this one as a daily more than I would recommend the Cado for sure. The Mercedes SL600, bad car, don't buy it. Mark 6 GTI, great car. Absolutely incredible car. It's good for pretty much everything you could want it to do. 330 Ci E46, pretty much the same deal. It is questionably more unreliable than the Mark 6 though, and since it is rear-wheel drive, keep that in mind. BMW Z3, it's the same thing. Has less space than the E46, so keep that in mind. C350 W24. Don't know much about this car realistically, but I thought it looked pretty cool. It's probably unreliable because it's a Mercedes. It's a modern Mercedes too, so it's probably a bad option in that sense, but it's a decent, comfortable, luxurious car. Audi S5 B8, just reliable, and that's awesome. It's a fun, cool Audi S-line car that's actually reliable, which is obviously cool. And then Porsche 944, I already said everything I needed to say about that when I was talking about the Porsche 944. And then BMW 335i E92. I've talked about this thing 5,000 times before in the past, so you guys pretty much already know my take on it. But yes, it's unreliable, but it can be a good daily if you keep it reliable. I feel like most of the time the 335, the N54s get unreliable because of the owners, not because of the motor itself. So just keep it simple, stupid. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. That's Danya, and have a nice night.